Hey, welcome. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you being here and listening and taking part in leaving comments as to how you find the videos or what's going on with you at this current time. It's really nice to hear other people there, and a lot of people speak to each other there by their comments. So it is lovely when you take time to do that also. But some of you might recall or not, some of the videos, some of the talks that I did quite a while back now, where I was being taken into these spaces and feeling the code and feeling some of the consciousness behind that code, and it coming across in colors, it coming across as a machine of many parts, very much like us, separated into these different frequencies that did these different roles, in a technology that far surpasses our greater understanding of its capacity and actually what it is. That was coming in through very strong, and that hasn't stopped. And the chatter on the frequency waves, for me, and I think many others, has become very busy, very active, very apparent. And so it takes some energy to get into that space to be able to even block it out, which is part of why I extended the no tech, the as little as possible. And we're still just edging it up further and further right now as a household, because it needed that physical space and time away from it to disarm or block off some of that chatter. Now, a lot of the things that I've stated and that have either come to pass or been seen in this physical realm thereafter hasn't been the most popular. The last 2 years, 3 years has been a gravy train for many people, some naively, some with intent, to push a certain narrative. And this is on all ends and sides of communities and peoples. So the whole Trump thing, I was very pragmatic about it. There's no particular hate or love there, but I couldn't jump on that train because I could see that it was, not what it seemed. So this might not be the most welcomed message either, in that many people, when they come to you for some kind of closure of a loved one that's passed over, they are wanting to have a confirmation of their spiritual condition bias a lot of the time, in that however they've been brought up, whatever they've been brought up to believe, whatever they've heard stories about, even from Disney to Christianity and all the other things in between, or an amalgamation of many things that has been a belief system that has been pushed onto the person, that the person then accepted. It's not even organic to them, but they have this preconditioned ideal. Why? Because that is the bliss and light and, the trumpets at the gates of heaven for everybody, and everybody who passes over suddenly becoming this enlightened one. And for me, for my experience, and for many others that I would look up to, both past and present, it's not like that. It very much is a leveling up or leveling down process, and there is vast alternatives to just the whole ascension thing into a heaven or descension into a hell. One thing that has been a little bit of a strain and struggle, and something I've had to recalibrate to, is the calling of what I would say are lost souls at sea in the ether, in that I picked up on a lot of the time in the last couple of years of this realm, this other realm, this invisible realm, that consciousness passes on to, for the most part, that's been happening from the living. They've been transferring consciousness. They've been doing consciousness transplants from the person. And I do feel this has had an effect on a lot of the emptiness that we see in a lot of now empty vessels, that again can be filled up with somebody's knowledge and wisdom and intent for any given purpose, if they are this they're not the conductor of their avatar, so to speak. So, but these transplants have been happening in entirety too, in that it's like a lot of these beings that have passed over in the last few years in particular have really been what's the word, they've been primed, or they are a match already to a consciousness space in this false layer, this false realm that is being built by this type of technology, by these people who want to be in power of their own heavens, literally. They have gone so crazy at this point with ego and fear, in that they want to build spaces where they are gods. They want to fulfill that purpose that they've been told and groomed to fulfill all of their lives. So you've got like the Zuckerbergs of the world, you know, like building these realms, building these spaces where they can be then a god. It feels all fun, but those headsets, those VR sets in particular, have been a huge thing that I have felt a lot of transplant of consciousness, upload of consciousness into this made up space in which people are becoming trapped when they pass over there, because they are guided to be there. That's where their consciousness has already been transplanted into. So they are magnetized to that space anyway. And that is a confusing space. For me, spiritually, it feels like a lot of people are going about their business, just as we see reflections of ghostly, for want of a better word, activity here, where it's like a projector screen just repeating certain routines, repeating certain you know, at times or days in their lives that were prominent, or just the day-to-day that made up the bulk of the life, just wandering. But the uncomfortable thing for me, and maybe this might trigger some people, because it isn't that story of, oh, when you pass over, you automatically go here, there, or everywhere. The uncomfortable aspect is, and I don't say it with glee at all, is that this is a prediction that has really come about. And that realm, that space is getting louder with people who realize they're trapped. And I don't know quite how to manage that yet. I don't know quite how to hook into that yet. I don't know quite how to even enter into that space safely yet. I'm working that out. I'm feeling that. I'm allowing the capacity to be able to do something about the people that call out to me about it. But I can never be dishonest when it comes to spirituality, life. I can't be dishonest to somebody who is seeking truth from me. And so it is a very different kind of reading, I suppose, that I would give, or spiritual coaching session that I might give, or because this is me, and some people will resonate with that and some people will not. But I do find that a lot of the messages I get that are ahead of time, so to speak, a lot of them right now, feeling that I've lived before over and over again, seen these cycles, even just in this lifetime, these cycles of control and the same tactics filtering through, and religion always coming about at the start of the process and at the end of the process to seed the idea, bring about the fear, break down people's independent thought processes, and be ready with the net to catch them when they are seeking something higher than themselves, something outside of their own fear. So it is a very different process with me, I suppose, from a lot of people that I come across or that I've heard about. But this realm, this space has really filled up over this time. Now I'm still waiting to feel out and see the applications of that, of just how much that consciousness of all of those individuals can then be channeled in such a way to form thought patterns, to form and shape culture, and to be used as an almost consciousness slave farm to project onto this physical space. And it is very complicated, and there are lots of things that can be applicable here when we're sort of thinking this through. So I am at the point where I'm just feeling it through, but I felt guided that I needed to return to those intuitions, those visions, those knowings that I was getting about these different realms being built by these psychopaths that can't find that fractal of God within themselves. They can't find that source. Either they've never had it, they don't align with that creation, the creative ones, which is why I think you see a lot of surrogates in that group, surrogate pregnancies, adoptions. I wonder if there's a lot of that they can't procreate very well or very efficiently here. So it is just feeling it out, and I'm feeling it out with you guys as part of the process to get your feedback, especially for those that remember me speaking about this and feeling so uncomfortable about this way back. And it's come round to being that I'm starting to realize why. I'm starting to realize that this is a present day process of a process that I have remembrance of, that I have a knowing of, that I've seen before. And that does open up a lot of questions as to just how many different dimensions, different spaces are being created by these powers that be, that ultimately the burden lands at our feet. Maybe that is part of the collective karma of these cycles repeating and repeating and repeating here. Because, as I've said before in a lot of those same videos too, is that what we do here in the present, what we accept, what we allow to stand for us, to represent us, ultimately we are the ones that are maintaining this power and control and fear and lack over the many. But it doesn't just affect here. It affects all of these different spaces that have been built, all of these different consciousness forms that have been, we're reflecting on them and they are reflective on us. And it came to mind tonight before I did this video of just how much of a burden that karma is, in that we are sitting back and letting a very few, albeit with systems that have built up, you know, millions worth of power, of things that will come at you if you try and change their positions in life. I'm putting that as best I can. But there's still, even in those millions, the capacity of all of their worker bees, most of which know not what they do. There is still a lot more of us that open up that space for these types of people to be here. And you can almost hear some dimensions shouting, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That president can't string a sentence together. They're mocking you at this point. That MP can't even brush his hair, and believes, you know, the poor should die anyway. And this one toy boy Rishi, who I don't know, is the financial puppet, isn't he? He's like the little doll that they dress up, and say, there's a good boy, go and say your lines, and he's lapping it up like a little boy. He's in his element right now. But they're mocking us. And I do feel that there is an eye or eyes, especially through this consciousness form that I feel, especially from the Facebook side of things. I don't think the CIA operation started and began with garnering information from the people. I think that has been such a success. It has evolved and it has been pushed to the limits to then hook into technology that we've known very little about in the grand scheme of things. To harvest, they realized it's a data form. What is data? It's consciousness, it's thought followed by action a lot of the time, but thought, that is data, and that is one of the most profitable things. Now, I always come back to the most profitable thing in this realm since these beings hijacked it is slavery. They are using the data not for good intent. It'll sound good that somebody's going to get a beep and a warning if they're about to have a heart attack and they need to spray. And those would be good applications. That's the technology at its very least capacity, but with great intent that would make such a difference to so many people. But they're not using it for that. Obviously, there'll be some of that good on the periphery to make it acceptable and amenable to the people. But they are using that data for dark intent, and nobody can tell me that data is not some kind of analogy for slave, for entrapment, there's a reason in covens, secret societies, gatherings of peoples. There's a reason that the masters, not necessarily a lot of the neophytes, but the masters will know, or the good student will know very, very quickly to really cover your blood, cover all of your bodily fluids, share it only with people who you are of a similar frequency to, of where you're both going to grow from that sharing of flora and fauna and all of the things, the data, the knowing of another through the saliva, through the scent, through all of those fluids. We should be covered in them. We can't give them away. There's a lot of unnecessary blood tests that get done every year all around the world, and there's a lot of necessary blood tests because they are needed to show a lack of vitamins or minerals or intake of compounds that are needed. It's like pulling teeth to get those type of appointments, to be proactive about health. But this just garnering of blood and other bodily fluids can be used for very nefarious intent, because to me it is part of the Holy Grail thing. I know that the Holy Grail directly is connected to the data, to the blood in the cup, to the information of life, of those different strands that make up this face or this body or your face, the information. And there's a reason, because once somebody knows enough about you in that way, in that very intimate inner universe way, the skin does a really good job of holding all of that precious information into this universe that is us. They've got that data for the most part, and that gives them a lot of power. It gives them a lot of it gives them a lot of slave ownership over the people, even down to the fact that they can use biochemicals that are biologically tapered and altered to affect a certain populace with certain prominent chromosomes in their DNA. So Facebook, I know, has been going along the premise of very ancient things and not just being annoying, garnering data and selling to marketing firms. That is tantamount with your consciousness, your thoughts, especially in such a heightened situation that the last 3 years has been. That is precious data that can be really harvested and almost a space held open for you if you're not careful into these man-made realms that they want to rule over as heavens. That's what it is. It's enslavement, it's entrapment, it's, you know, it's dark. So again, I'm just feeling this out with you, alongside you, as I'm processing it. Obviously, I've taken a lot of time in between those videos where I first described this to now of processing it, because it is a minefield of newness, of, you know, different ways, learning different ways to cope with it and deal with it and even help it. It's taken some getting used to. So let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you, I don't want to labor the point. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. How did this resonate with you? Or have you been feeling the same things that I've been feeling and seeing? I'd appreciate knowing that. I really would. So much love, balance, and wholeness. Let's open up this conversation. I thought it might be difficult for some to take. We aren't afraid of difficult here. That's why we're all here and we're connected. I love you all. Mwah.